Hi everyone, it's Harrison here. I wanted to put out a video on the division of responsibility when you as a parent or caregiver are trying to help your child when it comes to eating meals and snacks. I talked a little bit about this in the Halloween video, more related to Halloween night and the treats that they're getting, but this strategy works whether it's for your regular meals, whether you're packing a school lunch, whether you're out at a restaurant or during holidays. And it might be something you've never heard about, so I'm going to link some more details in the description below. So division of responsibility was put together by Alan Satter. She's a dietitian, feeding specialist for children. And the division, what it means is that parents have a role in feeding their children and the children have a role in feeding. And once we learn what the parent role is and the child role is, it really can take away a lot of the struggles that we see at mealtime, the fighting, the child not trying different foods. And we can create a more of a neutral approach that the child feels comfortable. And over the years and over the decades, as they get into adulthood, they will have some great skills on how to eat in a balanced way that helps out their body. So as the parent, we really have three roles. It's what we choose to offer the kids, when we offer it, and where we offer it. So what types of foods? We want to give children variety. We want to give them a mixture of foods that you know that they enjoy and maybe some new ones. That gives them the option to try different things. For a lot of kids, certain foods may be completely new or foreign to them, and giving them chances to try those just really builds up their experimentation of different foods, the different flavors or the different types of textures. And over time, that just allows a more, diverse interest in different foods as they grow. And when we talk about where you choose to eat, so that's really creating an environment that's nice, a nice time for meals. So that could be sitting at a table. But even if you're on the road, in a car, at a restaurant, it's really creating a distraction-free environment. So not using tablets or phones or television while they're eating. And also, this sounds funny, but even for small children, a very comfortable place to sit where they feel like they're not unsteady. And what this does is it allows them to put full focus on the food that they're eating. And this is the start of helping the child focus on their hunger and their fullness. So if they're not distracting themselves with a television, they're able to realize, when do they feel full? We've all done that. You're sitting home on a Friday night watching a show, eating a bag of chips, and if you're doing it, you kind of don't realize the bag's even gone. That's exactly what we're trying to help them with as they grow. And then when to eat. So that's providing a bit of structure to mealtime. Day by day things happen, and day by day schedules may be different. But if we create a little bit of structure that they know that, they have certain meals at this time and certain snacks at this time, that gives them the freedom to realize if they don't eat right now or they don't feel hungry right now, they can have their meal or snack in a few hours later. This helps them reduce the chance that they'll try to overeat food because they're worried about the next meal. And this also gives them a little bit of a time structure at mealtime, so they're not kind of sitting around there picking at food for an hour on end, because we want to get on to doing other things too. So those are the three responsibilities for the parent: what to offer, when to offer it, and where to offer it. And then on the child side, they have two responsibilities. That's whether or not they're going to eat the food that's offered. And I know that one's tougher for parents. And how much of it they're going to eat. It really allows the child to understand their own body and how much food they need to get through the day. Children go through a lot of growth spurts, and they have different appetites that kind of help with that. And if we force the child to eat those foods, it can create a battle or a fight and a lot of meltdowns. And over the long term, it can cause a lot of issues with disordered eating, not having a healthy relationship with the foods they eat, and that can cause us a lot of problems over time. So whether or not to eat, so you're offering them the different foods, and they can choose which ones of the foods they want to try, and then the second responsibility is how much of it they eat. So they might have a bite, they might eat it all and ask for seconds, but it allows them to dictate their own hunger. A lot of us have grown up eating differently than that. You may have heard, you can't leave the table till you're finished. You can't have dessert until you eat all this plate or half this plate of food. But that's actually kind of doing the opposite of what we want into adulthood. We want to eat based on our body's needs and not eat because we think that certain foods have more value than others or are better than others. If we use the dessert as an example, if you're using dessert as a reward for the child, they're already thinking that dessert is better than what they have on their plate right now. So you might think it's a motivation to get to dessert, but what it's actually doing is causing it that years down the road when they're actually buying foods, they're thinking, well, gee, all those sugary foods are better than the food, like the vegetables and fruit. So using dessert as that example, I'm choosing whether I want to offer dessert at mealtime for my child with the main course. They're choosing whether and how much of all those foods to eat. So dessert is kind of considered part of the meal, not something that's separate and better than the meal. Over time, that will really help the child regulate those wants and needs of hunger. So that's really it in a nutshell. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there because it is quite a different way of thinking about food. And a lot of us have had decades of thinking about it in a different way. But using this strategy, whether your child is starting to eat food for the first time around 6 months or even up into teenage years where they're transitioning into adulthood, some of these strategies will work. And by all means, take 1 or 2 pieces, try different things, but you can really use it all ages. I want to mention too that when it comes to the feeding responsibility, some children don't have that ability to regulate their food, maybe from certain symptoms, certain medical conditions. So if that's the case for you, by all means, take some of that information, but talk to myself or the health provider of yours and have a more detailed approach of how to work through that. Some kids aren't able to physically eat from the mouth, or some kids aren't able to recognize those hunger cues they have. So we have to look at that a different way. But I hope that helps. Again, any questions, feel free to contact me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.